hi, it's me, Brian the Yellow Jacket. You know, I've put a lot of names on the title card. Feel free to use anyone you want to refer to me. Please. Please. Anyway, so, this video is going to continue until I feel like I'm done rambling. And I could go into a long, strenuous explanation of the reason for this video. And I've thought about it. I thought about the reason for this video for a long time. Or the reason that I've taken such a long break from making videos. You know, when I started making videos, I wasn't very good at it. And I've gotten better and better in my skills in making them, and I started editing them like a little while ago. And I just looked at it, I'm like, what's fun about this? Do I have time to do this? And so, I'm not gonna try and stick to a routine, which is what happened. It constantly happened whenever I started making videos. I constantly found myself falling into routine and making time and strategizing about everything. And that goes into one of my fundamental problems, is I think too much. And it really weighs on me how much brain power I have. But something that even as a small child, like immediately when I started thinking too much, became apparent to me, was that my thoughts are chaotic. There's a very serious lack of order to the way I think. And so growing up was hard for me. With this chaotic way of thinking, with all this stuff just going around my head at like 1,000,000 miles per hour. And whereas it gave me a certain level of intelligence, I believe, you might believe I'm a rambling idiot. Actually, I believe that too. As well as the other thing. Of course. It also frustrated me. And so I don't know if it's been a year. It's probably been a year. We'll call it a year. Even if it's not a year. Anyway, a year ago, I found Discordianism in the Discordia Principilia, which is the holy book of Discordianism. And one of the main concepts of it just blew my mind. And that was that disorder, chaos, all that stuff wasn't a bad thing. See, raised as I was, and I was raised pretty good. But one thing that always kept, frustrating me, along with the other stuff, was that I was always raised to believe order was pretty good. Help classify things, which is how the human brain is supposed to work. It led to understanding, and so on and so forth. And so, chaos being the natural opposite of order, or at least that is what I believed, I saw that as bad. But with Discordianism, I've learned to not see it that way. And so I've decided to release all my incessant, that doesn't sound right, whatever, thoughts on the internet for anyone to see. Because I believe there's a certain type of wisdom or long lost intelligent thought somewhere in this rubble that might help, might not, probably won't. Insignificant. As are many things. But I've run out of ideas. I haven't, but this is just one of them. One of them I decided to follow through. So, I'm a crew. I'm a bird. I love this mask. I've got a nice little suit that goes with it. It's good. Anyway. So, growing up, the way I would deal with the chaos is I would draw doodles. And so, there is some writing, some philosophy, and other chaotic stuff mixed in with the doodles. And I thought that it would be a good place to start releasing my brain farts. That's right. This video is a septic tank. And these are stuff that came from my brain. It's a septic tank from my brain. I flush them down the toilet by writing them down, and then I deliver them to this video. That metaphor, analogy, whatever, is incredibly gross. I am sorry to have subjected you to that. But anyway, continuing on. I thought I'd start with the smallest book, not in but in actual size. And I've released this on Facebook. I've released a lot of what's in here. I don't think that this is the front of the book because it's not the way I started writing it. I started writing it from here, from the back. Like a manga. It's not a manga. I swear to God, it's not. I've done horrible comics. They're on Facebook. And this is not one of them. That's not what this is. Please believe me. Anyway. And so, that artwork is kind of, yeah. But first I want to set up some rules. Some ground rules that'll make trudging through my mind a lot simpler for everyone involved. These are some fundamental truths you need to know before we start. 1. All opinions are subject to change. I could believe in one thing 1 minute and then the next second, as soon as the thought ends, totally change my mind on it. Nothing is cemented. I reserve the right to, all things are true. Nothing is false. One thing does not discredit the other in any way. I could believe circle, but that doesn't make square untrue. You get what I'm saying? You don't get what I'm saying. Not in the way I get what I'm saying. Because you're not me. Get out of my head. Anyway, no, don't get out of my head. This is all about letting people into my head. Nothing matters. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Why are you still listening to me? Anyway, yeah, those are just my 4 ground rules that'll, you know, make this more tolerable, hopefully. And the 5th one, which I didn't write down because I ran out of space, is, I might not be sane by your definition, but that doesn't mean that I'm not sane by any definition. Just because you look at something and you don't see a pattern, don't, automatically assume that there is none. If somebody else takes a look at it, it might make sense. Eventually. In some form. Somehow. Anyway. So the first page in this book, we're gonna do this book today, is, some video game stuff. Actually, the first couple of pages. This is actually the first one that is actual doodle. And it's just a character design. I do that. I design characters. Because why the fuck not? It's the same character with slight changes. I don't know why I do that. Okay, and then we get to here. I don't think you can read that with the video quality I'm recording with. But, if you can, there it is. Anyway. It's the 11 dimensions. This was fairly recent. This is actually the most recent one. Like, the most recent full thing that was done. I wrote in this most recent. We're starting with the most recent, and we're gonna work backwards. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? No, you don't. Anyway, the first dimension is the concept of a point. It is just one unit, one on the graph, just 1 point. The second dimension is the concept of a line, 2 points connecting. The third dimension, a line has, height if it's going vertical, width if it's going diagonal. The third dimension has, like, depth. Actual depth. Like, in the fourth dimension, you become more aware of time as the fourth dimensional factor. And we are aware of time. So, yeah. I guess it has a role to play here, too. Look at that. In the fifth dimension, you become more aware of choices and the impact of those choices, cause and effect. In the fifth dimension, you become aware of the fact that even though now you're posed with this choice, eventually you'll be posed with another choice. Actually, immediately after you finish deciding at this choice, you're posed with directly another choice. And even while you're posed with this choice, you have another choice. Choice is just... It's like you can basically do anything. You have free will. You can choose A, B, or C. All the way to Z. And past that. Choice is limitless. At the fifth dimension. At the sixth dimension, you realize that choices are undoable. You can go back and fix whatever choice you made. I mean, some choices is harder to do that than others, but it's still possible at any time. some point, though, which that point is the 7th dimension, I think, Ron, you realize that you don't have to go back to fix that choice. It's not going back to fix it. The choice you made, as opposed to that choice, eventually leads to the same thing as if you chose the other one. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got A and B, choices A and B. Even though you're choosing B, which cause and effect should lead on a different path than A, eventually it's going to revert back to the same path. Eventually, whatever ramifications A had, B will also lead there along the line. The 8th dimension is where things get a little crazy. It's basically dealing with the long term. We're going past the short-term ramifications where everything is fixable, and we're dealing with the long term. The stuff where no matter what choices you made or didn't make, things were going to fold out like this eventually anyway. And this is where we get a little bit past the mankind part. It's no longer under your control. It's just events progressing. The 9th dimension is the realization that the 8th dimension the 9th dimension is the realization that now you can choose how that long-term thing progresses. Now, when I say can, and this is most apparent in the 9th dimension, what I mean is, if you work really, really, really hard. I don't mean a pebble thrown into the lake making little ripples. I'm talking you gotta roll a boulder into the lake to make huge waves by that time. And the 10th one is realizing that no matter what waves the lake suffers, the lake being your reality, there's still gonna be a lake. There's a whole fucking lake of reality type deal. All things exist. So no matter what movement you create along the lake, along time, along your existence in this reality, no matter what movement you make, reality is everywhere, and it'll continue without you. For everyone else. It's so huge. Everything's existing all at once. And even though, yes, you exist, so does everything else. The 10th dimension is that mind-blower place where, oh my fucking god, I need a minute type deal. And then the 11th dimension is the place where you realize that you're not gonna escape the lake. You're not gonna escape reality. You might think you have, but in all reality, you haven't. You're in existence, you're gonna stay in existence, and have a fun time. You're not getting out. You're trapped here with the rest of us. Then we continue. That was all on one page. Now, a lot of this isn't going to be as coherent as that was. Aren't you scared now? More game stuff. More game stuff. I made a game. Yeah. I made a game. I wrote out all the rules for the game. The game is more complicated than chess, but it looks and plays like tic-tac-toe, mashed together with rock, paper, scissors 4 times. Yeah. And that guy. As I said, I like designing characters. And that was a little demon. There's a character on the back of that. And then you got this. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what that is. A lot of intersecting parts. Circles and squares. Arrows. Big magic ball in the corner. And then this. And I'll read this. As I sit here writing in my notes, I am aware of the fact that most of it would seem like red flags if seriously analyzed. And yet, the fact of my awareness means that I am not insane. So it must mean something. There has to be a reason to this. I just don't know what it is. If you read it, you might realize what it is. And you might get a little disturbed. I've had people tell me that they've been a little disturbed by what comes out of my brain. But I'm aware of that fact. And I keep doing it. So there must be something compulsing me to do it. Little cartoon here for you guys. Is guy giving gibberish to somebody else. I don't know. Oh. Look, I made a sword. Wrapped in chains. Because for some reason that's a brutal weapon that I made. I don't know. Fuck it. Oh, and this guy. I don't know about you, but that guy creeps me the fuck out. Oh my god. Fucking weirdo. This is actually quite pretty. I like this. I don't know if you see what I see there, but I like it. This is me trying to nail down how to draw an line person for future diagrams. I don't know why I drew this, but it's here. I can't. Some of these I just can't fucking explain. Or add commentary to. This one just states that change in opinion is necessary and stuff. Yeah. It's a pretty good diagram for it, too. Then you got this. These are notes. Movement is caused by displacement in space-time. And when I say that, I don't mean like the term space-time, I mean space and time. But I wrote it down as space-time. Movement is caused in, or no. Okay. To move faster, more space over less time. Well, lack of speed, lack of heat. Speed equals heat. Lack of speed equals lack of heat. It's cold. I don't know why that concept deserves a page, but it does. Apparently. In my mind, it deserves a page. We get to the writings. These scriptures? I don't know how to describe them. They're just the doodles. And I've released a lot of this book already on Facebook, so I'm skipping over the ones that can't be commented on, because there's nothing there but a doodle and that same weird unknown language that even I don't know. And I'm the one who wrote it. This... bleh. The idea is simple, and the effect is huge. Oh, and then this. I'll read what I can with this. The gospel of the unknown language is the answers that completely satisfy all. Therefore, none can read in true the message inscribed. I think that was my brain trying to rationalize writing in this weird, unknowable language that I never set rules for. If I did make it up, if I didn't make it up, I don't know where it comes from, type thing. More video game stuff. Oh, there's some shapes. Look, shapes. I feel like the guy who's just shoving this stuff in the you guys' face. And I am. Yeah, look at that. Words. Any 2 points make a line. How do you trace a single line when you're connected to millions? What is the act of cutting a line? The answers are hidden behind a language I do not understand. I feel like I was really lost in just this bizarre shit that I was spitting out. Oh no, look, there goes monetization. I cussed. I guess I can cuss throughout the rest of this. 2. Once again, I'm skipping a lot of these doodles that just have no actual words on them and have no actual interpretation. You know. Okay, so it's not like... Oh, hold on. Okay. This one is actually quite pretty, so I'll show it. Yeah. Look at that, there's a tree. But there's nothing. And then this. And it just has the word action on it. Even though it's an extremely stationary thing. I don't know. Fuck it. Oh, and here we go. So, these 2 pages, it's not like I haven't tried to decode this. You know what I mean? Like, I have tested whether it's something I've made up and set no rules for, or if it comes from somewhere. And I figured if it comes from somewhere, I should be able to decode it just by writing the alphabet over it, and then writing a line of the language, you know, making sure the spacing is right so that they sync up with the letters. But I found, and so I wrote a line on the other page, and I tried to decode it. But I found that was impossible, and so, in all likelihood, it's just a language I write in, and I've never set up a set of rules for it, because it's just the natural language that my brain goes to. It doesn't have a set of rules. I don't know. Anyway, words, actual words. Let's get into this. Meditation is such, silent, motionless, and reflective thought. Food is such, fuel for the body, a moment of peace for the mind. Logic is such, action to reaction, to recognition. Insanity is such, the in-between to logic. I don't care how logical you are, I don't care how good you are at thinking, I don't care what you do. Eventually, insanity, madness, whatever you want to call it, it will find you. It won't take long, it's like a few seconds in between coherent thought. If you think very logically on a very constant basis, then it's literally milliseconds. Synapses in the brain that just... You get what I'm saying? It's almost instantaneous, and it passes just as quickly. It's nothing. However, if you're like me, you're chaotic, you're naturally inclined to madness, you're not constantly logical, then it's gonna be a little bit more irritating. Look at this beak. Look at it move. Anyway. Oh, and it continues on the next page. Battle is such. Do not, and failure does not exist. Training is such. All movement grows the body and teaches the mind. Weapon is such. To extend the range and increase the destructive force. Oh, look at this guy. And it has words underneath. It says, "The fuck am I doing with my life?" I share that sentiment at this moment. I might not the next. But right now, I feel like I drew this, and underneath it says, "This talisman is not good. When you see it, run." So apparently, if you see this in like a very real talisman-y form, you should not be there. Get somewhere else. Type deal. You know? I don't know what the fuck it is. More unexplainable, random doodles. You've seen my artwork that I'm just drawing. You know what it is. It's filling up the entire page. There's no actual words. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. If I can fucking flip the pages. Oh, look, words. Actual words. What does this mean? It alone looks as meaningless scribbles, but when grouped, that is a sentence or a word. I recognize. Yeah. I don't know how to read the language I write in this notebook. I know it is a language, but the secrets that these pages hold are locked to me. What could I do with what is written here? Torturous insanity. And that's basically what it is. Yeah. Constant, bleh. Somebody help me, I can't fucking think straight. Oh, and this is a point where things stop being so serious and philosophical. And I just started designing robots using this weird language as a kind of, you know, you've seen it on the sci-fi thing where they're showing the specs for the robots, but they've got the fucking explanation for how these big fucking hulks work, and it's in this mysterious language that no one can read. So I decided to do that for a little while. I made some, you know, just fucking robots. Why the fuck not? Okay, and we're getting to the beginning or the end, whichever you prefer, of the book, where I've stopped writing. Okay, and then here's the back of the cover, or whatever. Yeah, look at that. No idea what that is. Anyway. And so there's this little notebook. This is the most recent one that I've done, written in, except for those rules, that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And so I feel like now is a good place to stop, collect our thoughts. Maybe I'll do another one of these. Maybe I won't. If you enjoyed this, do something. I don't give a shit. Anyway. If you didn't do something, I don't give a shit. Anyway. Oh, crow. Uh, I swear one day I'll stop saying, but no, I won't. If I wasn't, if I wasn't a, flesh and blood human being under this mask, which I might not be, but that depends on your definition of human being. But if I was like a straight up crow, I think I would just say all the time. Anyway, that's another good one. I would know like a few words that I would repeat instead of like without logic. There. I think now is a good time to stop. And so I'm going to stop. I'm going to press the button and it's going to stop. And so here we go. Bad guys, have fun. Remember to have fun. Having fun is the most important thing in life. Fuck everything else. Go have an incessant amount of incessant. Why do I keep using that word? What I mean by that word is a lot. By I want to sound fancy, or my subconscious does. I don't know, and so I say incessant, which doesn't mean what I think it means. I know that it doesn't. I can't remember what it actually means though. But go have just totally the above amount of fun. Just have fun. Have fun, damn you! Anyway, see.